Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea. Welcome back to another best of 3. Today we're going to be having a look at a couple of games between. In the top right, spawning as the Blue Zerg, playing for Team Ant, it's going to be a Serral. And in the bottom left, spawning as the Red Protoss player, playing for Team DIC Boy, it's going to be PartinG. That's of course not his real team. I think it's just a clan he's in right now. I don't think he actually has a team. I know that he has a personal sponsorship with Serral, which is a nutrition company. And as a result of that, PartinG has been going to the gym, posting pictures of refueling with Serral afterwards. So he's probably in good spirits, well fed at the moment, nutritious. He's feeling good. So that's all I can say about him currently. He's going to be starting to harass this mineral line a little bit. Serral is just going to be opening up with a hatchery on the third base, as he did get blocked on the natural. And PartinG most likely will just be heading into a more standard Stargate play. PartinG recently has been going into these more standard Stargate plays. Before, he was one of the only players that still loved going into these very ground-based armies, these Stalkers, these Colossi. A couple of disruptors added in as well, but very aggressive compositions. They have kind of been figured out by Zergs though. High drone counts, 83, 84 very rapidly into heavy Ravagerling Bane. Just kind of tends to destroy it, especially if you can tech into Vipers after. There's some Zerg players that decide to skip Banelings and rush into Hive at like 720 or something like that. Get insanely fast Vipers, and before the push that you want to do, you can even hit, you're basically already dead because Vipers are out. So it's very tricky to play these ground-based styles. What's also very tricky is for Serral to get into the main base, but he did succeed here. We'll be able to spot that Stargate. Now against most players that's not going to be a big revelation, but against PartinG it might actually be, because like I said, PartinG is a guy that sometimes loves to throw in that robo first. So just getting the confirmation that this indeed is a Stargate is just cool, and it will allow Serral to move this Overlord back. I'm kind of wondering if he's going to move it all the way back. I know he just likes to move it over here. I don't quite understand that. What is the added information? Okay, yeah, he's just going to keep moving it. So he's gonna go into the corner somewhere. I wonder where exactly. You want to take a path that isn't quite expected, because otherwise the Void Ray is going to get you. So, well, the Void Ray is going to get him. Okay, his Overload is freaking dead. No! He changed the shift click here, and for now the Overlord will stay alive. So that was a very useful link that went into the main base there. So now this Overlord will get to survive. This link's also gonna scout the Nexus timing here immediately, and should be able to tell, hey, this is a standard Nexus timing. There's no way you built any type of tech before you threw down this Nexus. That is cool. Robo is going to be the follow-up here though for PartinG. So that's going to be a Void Ray and an Oracle into a robotics facility. There is some follow-ups here possible. We could see maybe a 6-gate prism, a 4-gate prism. These are very old builds, but that doesn't necessarily make them bad. What makes them bad is the fact that roaches beat it, but... ooh. Bunch of adepts also being warped in at home here. So PartinG seems to be going into a little bit of an adept save up, perhaps with a... I was hoping for a prism here, but it's going to be an observer instead. Robotics base going down as well. This either is a really safe play or a rush into Colossi. Now the reason why I say safe play is because often against Roach Queen Alliance you want to have a couple of disruptors out. That's just a nice thing to play with. That is just a nice thing to play with. 6 of these adepts are going to be moving out right now. Let's see what they managed to do. Oh, I'm going to go for a semi-split. There's 2 adepts on the map already. There's 8 adepts total. This is a pretty decent adept count. 2nd Stargate coming down. Okay, this is just a really safe opener into double Stargate. That is a little bit surprising that PartinG is playing like this. This is not something I would expect PartinG to play, to be honest. This is something I would expect myself to play because I'm afraid of Queen Alliance. But PartinG? No. He's the guy that puts on the pressure. Instead he's going to be going for a disruptor out of being afraid, really. There's nothing else there. Oh, terrible finish on these shades as well. You see the links being a little bit dodgy. not wanting to attack this. Instead, they'll be heading back home. This should not be a finish. Did PartinG manage to take down any creep? I think the answer here so far is not really much. You know, a little bit on the left side, actually a decent amount on the left side. There is observers here, of course, which also should be semi-helpful. We now have a spire on the way here. And honestly, usually I'd say spires, that's great. But in this case, I'd say, well, spires. There's 2 freaking Stargates already. If he's going to be getting a +1 as well, needs to be careful with it. Adept needs to be really careful with it. Adept. Yeah, the Adept did not look like it was in hold position. Cannons being thrown down as well. I find this build order very odd out of PartinG. Well, these Adepts are not that odd though, as they're going to be taking or dealing a lot of damage. 10, 11, 12 workers going down against 8 Adepts. We have an Oracle checking out the fort base timing, which is pretty late by the way, and the Void Ray just floating around on this side. I think the vision out of PartinG is fantastic. He has 1 observer still alive. He has an Oracle bumming around somewhere as well. Then there's another Void Ray moving forward. We have double Phoenix production. Did he scout the Spire? He did scout the Spire. We'll see if this Spire is ever going to get used. It wouldn't surprise me if, rather than using the Spire for Mutalisk, Serral says, okay, I have been spotted, my early game has been complete crap. Building Mutas now is just a risk that I can't really afford to take. And he'll just go into Hive from here. Infestation Pit is about to finish up. There's no Baling Nest yet though, which surprised me. Okay, there we go. Baling Nest going down as well as the second Evo Chamber. This is going to be Hive. Yep, absolutely the correct call here. So a bit of a fake Spire. Now, of course, still needs a response out of PartinG here. PartinG building 4 Phoenixes at this point, and he's just kind of rubbing his hands together going, well, that's great. Let the Mutas come, because I'm ready. And then the Mutas never show up. Very frustrating. This is one of the things where I sometimes feel like a Spire is almost always worth it for the Zerg, if it gets scouted. Because TOS just needs to respond to it. You just absolutely have to have some type of response. No, instead it's going to be a Overseer going into the main base. We'll see Void Ray production continuing right now, as well as Flux Veins on the way. So unless Serral believes that that could be the Ani-Impulse Crystals, which is the Phoenix range upgrade, Serral should know what's kind of coming for him. We have a second robotics facility already. 2 disruptors are still here. It's going to be a semi-passive game so far on the side of PartinG. Six Void Rays are moving in right now. 7. Yeah, there's too many. Holy crap. 13 Queens against 7 Void Rays. You could split the Queens and still be fine. Also with +1 range already done. 1-1 for Melee and Carapace also on the way. And we now have Infestors and Vipers. So Serral will be heading into a tricky composition to control. For someone like him, tends to be no problem whatsoever. Just needs to be careful that he doesn't get caught off guard here by any type of max push. Because that seems to be what PartinG is going for. Some type of max push. I mean, he is going into a more ground-based composition. So back in the day we used to play ground into air. These days a lot of tosses play air into ground. The problem for PartinG here is that this Greater Spire is going to finish before this push will ever be able to truly materialize, I think. I mean, there's no prism on the map yet. Good luck pushing out with that. Without that. There's no storm, is there? No, no storm. Only +1. I mean, it's just not going to work, any type of push here. Once 3-4 Broodlords are out, it's just gonna stop dead in its tracks. There's a tiny army here on the map, but this army could be responsible for big damage. It is possible. If this can be used as a counter-attack army while he's being attacked, it could take out a base, it could take out a lot of workers. These small armies are often very scary. This is well, also scary, by the way, is the fact that there's 7 Broodlords on the way, 10 minutes in, and it feels like PartinG has absolutely nothing against Broodlords at this point. You could say, well, there's 7 Void Rays for Phoenix, but there's 13 Queens and 3 Vipers. 1 Parasitic Bomb and 13 Queens. Honestly, could just win this fight. I'm surprised Serral never attacks. I've watched this before. I've watched this happen before, where Serral is in a fantastic position. He has quick Broodlords, But Serral is so set on being defensive and knowing that he can always win in the late game. He's so confident in his late game abilities that he actually, he almost never attacks with this. Even though he 100% has a timing here. I mean, what is PartinG gonna do? PartinG's just gonna roll over and die. That's what's gonna happen if Serral decides to attack. But Serral decides to just sit back, do absolutely nothing instead. Someone like Bly would have already been in his opponent's natural at this point. Bly probably would have morphed the Broodlords over here, being like, okay, I think I have a timing. Now PartinG's going to attack, but this is a fight he absolutely cannot take. No way, Jose. And yet we have Serral just sitting back, relaxing. A couple of more Broodlords would be a possibility. I mean, the Corruptors are there. The anti-air is available as well already. And yet, no. Ooh, he's gonna just throw away these Phoenixes for free. That looked bad, but that definitely was intentional. Now we have +2 double Stargates on the way behind this as well. And Serral continues with his slow but methodical playstyle. 3 Zealots are just idling on the creep. Just chilling with their friends. It's like a bit of a dare gone wrong, you know? you wouldn't dare sitting on the creep with me for 10 hours. Oh, you watch this. And they did. And they died. Well, that was lame. Serral setting up the necessary defenses as well here at the bases. Spores, spines, all of the good jazz really is being used here. So we now have, what is this? 7 Void Rays actually. Just trying to fly around, trying to get some damage done. Wonder if this is going to work. I have my doubts, to be honest. I do have my doubts. This Void Ray is gonna be, or this Overlord's gonna be spotting these Void Rays, and Serral's already on the way with the Special Forces Task Force. It's 3 Vipers, a bunch of Corruptors, and with Parasitic Bomb and Abduct, you're just gonna be capable of taking out stuff way too fast. I like this. I like these changelings. Block the Nexus, and then maybe you can bait out some Void Rays. Serral slowly but surely continues his wall of terror, which is just going to include loads of spores. And, you know, I kind of understand why Serral doesn't want to attack. PartinG isn't known for having the greatest late game in the world. So why would you risk it by attacking, you know? If you are known for having the greatest late game in the world, if you're this confident that you can't lose a CVP late game, and then you're playing against a guy who tends to win games in the mid or the early game, why would you? You know, what's the point? Now these roaches are gonna get given away for free, as Serral wants to free up some supply for units that actually do something. Could be Ultralis, could be a couple more Broodlords, but it's gonna be a couple more Broodlords actually. I was gonna say it wouldn't surprise me if those will be Ultralis, especially now that both of these Immortals are gonna be given away. That means there's no Immortals left. Serral is on a full Broodlord, Corruptor, Viper army. Just gonna be sitting back for a little bit. Carriers taking out the rocks and will be trying to establish a 6th base. Prism makes its way towards the left side of the map. As the cannon wall is being started here as well. It's a relatively passive game. Did see a mothership out somewhere, and this mothership might actually spice things up at least a little bit. We have a couple of Templars in a prism. We'll be going for 1, 2 very good abducts there, or sorry, 2 very good feedbacks. Also gets 2 feedbacks on the Queens. Mediocre Storm and 2 Templar have gone down against 2 Infestors and 2 empty energy Queens at this point. There's a prism here. What's going to be warped in on this point? I'm not quite sure. All I know is that there's going to be an aggressive recall, and these Corruptors will come a little bit too late to stop this. This army feels relatively small, by the way. It's because there's still 4 carriers in production. I was like, hey, it says 200 supply and there's only 77 workers. Why does this army look so bad? And honestly, pretty decent question. Prism's gonna be moving towards the corners. We have a couple of Banelings and Links that will try to attack this bottom right side base. At the same time, Serral is looking for whether that's a mothership or a carrier, just any type of damage. And this base is going to get busted with adrenal glands and well, soon to be 3-2 upgrades. I think these links should be capable of taking out the space as long as, well, they would have kept focus there. I think that should have been possible. Now it's going to go for a burrow. It's not quite going to work out. A single storm will deal with that. And the extra cannons once again are being pushed in. Here comes the march forward. The march of the spores out of Serral. As he wants to be a little bit aggressive here. There is Neuroparasite, as we can see, and that's a good fungal. These are not the greatest feedbacks. Prism will also go down a little bit of a suicide mission. 4 carriers not yet in the main army. Now will get added in. Where are the Templars though that you should be having? There's a Prism here with 2 Templar. That might be useful. 1 carrier gets taken out. Good abduct usage here out of Serral. Blink, what is this? +2 and +3 air on the way as well. So upgrades finally will finish up for PartinG. Now this spore wall most likely will have to move back a little bit, as once again the 6 base is going to get denied. Cannons taken out, probes destroyed, and on top of that the Nexus will also go down this time around. I don't think PartinG can just go in here. It seems a little bit optimistic. Actually way too optimistic. Both players just denying each other that 6th base, and it's going to remain a 5 versus 5 base fight. PartinG down about 7k in the units lost stat. Very impressive feat here out of Serral. He once again shows that he truly is the king of controlling these big late game armies, and he's looking for damage once again. Perhaps a single abduct, perhaps 2 abducts. He definitely could have gotten some there, but instead decides to focus more on those fungals. A little bit surprising. And as a result, we'll get an Archon and maybe 1 or 2 of these Templar. Yes, 1 more Templar. Good abduct on that carrier as well. As once again, the Broodlords will destroy anything that is on the ground. And the force of Corruptor Viper is dishing out big damage here to the other faction. 5 carriers, blink DTs, okay. Love to see it. I remember the days where Shadow Strike actually wasn't that common in this matchup. I do remember the days. Good old Shadow Strike. But nowadays it's really common in PvT. It's common in PvP, and also in PvZ. Well, it's not very common, but we still see it every now and then. It's not that big. Wow, I can't believe he's doing this. That definitely isn't it anymore. Now we have a Prism, without Prism speed, may I add, even though there is a Robotics Bay here, if I recall correctly. Yep, because we did start this game with a couple of Disruptors. So I'm surprised we're not seeing that Prism speed. So useful on those Prisms. If you want to suicide them in for a couple of feedbacks, maybe a Storm here or there. Serral is just kind of chilling here. Once again, it's going to make the same move. I didn't even see him retreat, but he once again feels confident. He's going to chill over here. He's kind of cutting off anything that can ever go here, right? Like, it's impossible for PartinG to take that base if this area is taken by spores. And now we have a move forward here. So Serral wants to take his own 6th base. He's taking out his opponent. Well, I think this was his 3rd. Oh, there goes the mothership. Ooh! That was close. Doesn't quite die, but was close to dying. Nice to see. A couple of fungals here could definitely work as well. These spores will start hitting observers. This is an interesting fight here for PartinG, because all of a sudden a lot of these spores are going down. Where's Serral? Okay, good storms, good feedbacks. A lot of these queens are taking massive damage. Oh, a couple of feedbacks on these infestors as well. The problem now is that there's no Templars remaining. I'm not sure if Serral is aware of that. I think he might just be aware of this. We have a pre-split out of PartinG. I don't think he should be going in though. PartinG decides to take the top left base. This is a change of base. I like that a lot though. If Serral doesn't get the bottom right base, this could have some potential. The problem is just that PartinG hasn't been trading too well. He's down about 12k in resources at this point. Now he's going to be engaging into an Ultralisk with Zealot, which is never a good idea. Ultralisk is just a little bit too strong for that. Uh-oh. Extremely painful. Mothership down. Good job once again out of these Vipers. Just being a little bit too annoying in my opinion. Shield weapons on the way. How many Stargates is there? Just 5. Okay. 5 Stargates. If this base goes up, PartinG might have a chance, but otherwise, the problem here is that PartinG right now, because he has been trading so poor, look at this. He's basically lost an entire army already. He was down, what, 12, 13k in army value? That's an entire air army. Look at that. That is 9k mineral, 6k. Oh, this is what, 14, 15k maybe? But it's really close, and that's the scary thing here, is that Serral can basically create an entire new army out of scratch, as long as he has the larva available, and right now he has 25 available, so that's not quite enough. But this could be a really bad trade, and Serral can still be in it. And so far, all of his trades have been good. That was a bad move out of PartinG, losing both of his Templar. There's still 4 Templar in the Prism, of course, which will be helpful. We have a little bit of an attack going towards the bottom base, but Serral is ready over there already. We now have a pre-split. PartinG wants to go for it. I'm not quite sure if this will work out. Prism flying in. We'll be able to only get 2 feedbacks on those fungal, man. So now we get some target fire on these broodlords. But what's the purpose of target firing broodlords if there's no ground anymore left for you? Parasitic bomb is doing work as well. The corruptors are flying in. We'll be able to dish out a lot of damage against these void rays. The broodlords are looking for a target and they're like, well, there's nothing to attack on the ground there except for a couple of useless stalkers. Queens chasing carriers, you'll love to see it. Corruptors now flying in. We'll be able to take out even more of those carriers. 14 Corruptors and 6 Ultralisks on the way. This is going to be absolutely fine here for Serral. Serral says, well, I might have not won that fight as hard as I won the previous fight, even though he did trade better than his opponent, up to 3k in that last one. However, I also have way more money, so the next fight is going to be 180, 190 supply against 112, and this is where PartinG is truly going to struggle. Now the Corruptors are out, and well, what's there left for him really? 5 carriers against 22 Corruptors. The Ultras are about to pop as Stalkers are being warped in, and Serral absolutely decimating PartinG in game number 1. A very one-sided affair in which every single fight that Serral ever engaged in got won. Fantastic game here. A Zerg masterclass in game number 1. Game number 2 here. Played on Blackburn between Serral and PartinG, as we see PartinG taking an alternate. Okay. Now this is a build I haven't really seen before. I can only imagine this is a 4-gate or a 3-gate proxy. It's kind of far away though, buddy. It's kind of far away. And why on this map? Do Overlords really take that long to get into the natural on this map? I don't think that's the case. It's gonna be 2-gate forge, isn't it? Just the positioning of these gateways. It looks like a 2-gate forge. Otherwise your 3rd gate would be here. He's gonna play 2-gate forge. This is a build that we play a lot in PvP. Or that we used to play a lot in PvP. I'm really curious how that works out in this matchup actually. I'm not quite aware how it does. So what you want to be doing is you want to get a single pylon here somewhere, and then you start rallying in Zealots. Okay, Serral sees that. He will pull a single drone. He started his pull already. The build isn't bad, actually. Like, the build really isn't bad. You can start 2 cannons. So we have a couple of drones being pulled down right now. Okay, so 2 Zealots. Then you can start a cannon. Do you want to start a cannon yet? I don't think you do. I don't think you do. 5th drone's being pulled down as well. 2 cannons are being started immediately. Just making sure that his pylon survives, I guess. First cannon is gonna get taken out. I wonder what happens if Serral just gives up his natural, by the way. I'm very curious. Okay, now does that... Oh, are you joking? Loses the probe? What? This is awful. This is truly awful. Okay, well now the game is just over. Now it's just basically a 4-gate Zealot with a proxy pylon, except instead of 4 gates you only have 2 gates. Oh my god. This is awful. Terrible, terrible control. If the probe is this important to your push, it needs to be... You need to babysit that bad boy so hard. Like, oh my god, PartinG is absolutely dead right now. Zealot is going to get surrounded. Serral says lol, GG gets called, and Serral wins the series 2-0. Ridiculous game to end it with. What a ridiculous game. I can't believe it. Oh man. What was that? What happened here, PartinG? What happened? Yeah, he's gonna send it out again. He was too keen on his movement. Too keen. Too keen just getting in there and doing stuff. Yeah, you get caught. Play with fire, you get burned. You played with fire, got burned. Alright, it's going to be it for today's episode of the HarstemCasts. If you all enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. We'll see you all next time for more videos. Thanks so much for watching, and bye bye.